Namaste, Jay Bharat. Normally, one is of the belief that the Semitic religions don't permit any kind of changes in their scriptures, texts, and theology. That is why the Mosaic law gets written on rock, that they can't be changed, or rather they can't even be interpreted, or there is no possibility of evolution into their theology. Let me be soft. Their theology. But if you closely observe, you will find that really is not the case. There are changes. People do make changes. And the first person who made such change with the Ten Commandments, nothing short of Ten Commandments, just look at it, is none other than Christ. That was indeed a very, very intelligent move from the part of Christ when he gives the Sermon on the Mount, as you know, which are the Beatitudes. Christ says, he just begins saying that I have not cancelled what is said of the old, I have come to strengthen them. With that, he wins the support of the people, then picks up each of the commandment, interprets it without others realizing that he is interpreting. That's the greatest part of it. Very interesting. So I consider that as the first instance of a change in the unchangeable. Unchangeable is what people popularly think, believe, and propagate. That must be the first change. Then you see subsequently a lot of things changed. Then the Catholic Church gets established in a very formidable manner, in a very structured manner. Later, the Italian hardcore communist Antonio Gramsci suggests his followers that if you want to learn structure, you learn it from the Catholic Church. Now, he is an Italian, he is from Sardinia. His proximity with the Catholic organization is, we know that. So he says, learn from them how a structure is done, how an organization is done. So to that extent, of getting appreciation from the other, the opponents. Opponent means in faith system is used to be the structure of Catholic Church. Before that, during the medieval period, the three priests who were later beatified into sainthood are Augustine, Aquinas, Anselm. They have written much, especially Summa Theologica and all. They have written much, and they used the philosophy of Aristotle explicitly to strengthen their faith system. The fundamentalists strengthen faith system of a church. They have done it immensely, using philosophy to strengthen. Up to Anselm. Anselm is latest, is called Anselm of Canterbury, and with that, lot of internal changes took place, though it is supposed to be unchangeable. But there are the theologies got evolved. Let me call it as like that. There were theologies evolving. Now comes the Protestants, the Protestant movement from Martin Luther. Martin Luther himself was a Dominican monk, Catholic, and he says that no, I need not to be told what is written in the Bible. I understand. I can read, understand. I also know Latin. So I need not to depend on the interpretation of Pope to understand what is in the Bible. I need not to be dictated. I can understand. Now, what used to really happen is most likely I haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. But what used to really happen in those days is that anybody and everyone would start speaking on behalf of Papa, on behalf of the Pope, and say he said it, or this is what he instructs, etc. Now these things used to go on in every field, not only in theology, but also in politics, also in even in democracy. These things goes on. So that protest created a big problem. From there, different sects evolves. And each sect evolves within itself. You see, the Hebrew Bible I call because when Greek was the accepted classical language of Europe those days, the new Christians wanted means then Christianity just began, wanted a translation into Greek language, because in place of Latin as we see today, it used to be Greek language. So 70 scholars were sent to Greece to translate the Hebrew Bible into Greek language, and that translation is called the Septuagint Bible, Greek Bible, Septuagint Greek Bible. So that becomes the authority, archetype Bible, which of course the Catholics follow even till date. Lot of additions, subtractions might have taken place. It's difficult to speak of such a text which had been researched to the maximum. The text which has been researched maximum in the world is Bible. So it's difficult to speak with any kind of authority. We can only speak on the basis of impressions and peripherally knowing. But with each sects of Christianity, they developed subsequently their own versions of Bible. This is evolution. The Padres were asked to practice. They were supposed to be celibate, but then that was changed. When it comes to Protestants, a lot of things were changed. In the rituals, etc. So this is evolution in theology. So, in spite of the fact that the Decalogue is Mosaic law, they are 10, so they call it Decalogue. In spite of the fact that the Decalogues are visibly and demonstrably written on rock, there were changes. A lot of changes took place, and Christianity got evolved. The Christian theology got evolved. Now that is what makes Christianity dynamic. They evolved given time and space, though there is an inherent and internal resistance to any kind of change, but the change was somehow managed, overlooked, and they evolved given time and space. So it's normal. There's nothing repugnant with the religion today. There's nothing unusual, nothing abnormal, nothing that is creating problem. But on the other hand, with Islam, whole lot of confusions are there. Where it begins and from how they accepted the Mosaic hereditary. Moses to Jesus, all those Abraham's story, they accept everything, but the only thing they change their names. They gave the Arabic version of the Semitic names. Okay, they youngest, latest, so more resistant to change. But there too, there were about, if I'm not wrong, 70 plus sects in Islam. Each sect, those who abuse the caste system of the Hindus, each sect is like castes. So I would say there is 70 plus castes and different versions of understanding, interpretations, etc. Which then they have a big problem. When you come to Christianity, See, no one would say that he is a true Christian and yeah, I am a true Christian, others are untrue. I have not come across such a theory. That normally what we find Christians on practical level is they are also Christians. I am also Christian in spite of the many sects. They have their own Bible. Fine. They really don't take it that serious. Nobody would say the Septuagint Bible should be followed. No, nobody says that. They may not accept one another, but then they are not violent. They are not militarily resisting. But it's different in case of Islam. It's different. Each one says that the other is kafir. The problem is each sect believes that others can't go to heaven, I can go to heaven. So my people can go to heaven. There is an unclear instruction that those who follow me close only can go to heaven. Only one group can go to heaven. These are creating complications. Only one group can go to heaven. Only one specific group can go to heaven. Which that group may be? There is no saying about it directly. They say that group who follows me perfectly. Then confusion. More than sufficient confusion for people to quarrel one another. Each one would say that each one would think, believe, and speak that the other is kafir. Each one would think, speak, and believe the other one is kafir. And each one would see, I am legitimate, all others are illegitimate. That this is a big problem. This creates conflict and contradiction. This creates problems in social coexisting. Think about, just leave about the other religions other than their own faith system. And there are a lot of changes. Now, when it comes to jihad, there is another introduction. What is it called? Icing on top of the cake. This is another introduction. See, normally for all Semitic traditions, after death, what happens? Nobody directly goes to heaven. After death, there is a stipulated specific day of judgment, which had not happened, which would make heaven and hell both free. Which had not happened. So you have to wait for the day of judgment to be judged, evaluated according to your merits. You will be either assigned to hell or heaven. This kind of theology exists. But there is an improvisation which is very craftily done, that if you attain shahadat through jihad. Now, it's very complicated to understand the concept of jihad. It's for whom? Should be for the God. But to what extent you are following, to what extent it should be for the God, there is no clarity. Then you can trespass or transcend the day of judgment. There is one version like that, which is also kind of evolution within theology. So, in spite of the fact that theology is not permitted to be evolutionary, practically we see a lot of changes, evolutions within theology of all sects, all people, all sects, and also in all kinds of castes. Unfortunately, one group would say we are right, others are wrong, and this would create internal inherent conflicts and contradictions. I wonder how it can evolve further, most likely given the nature of nature and nature of man. This kind of evolution would take place subsequently after destroying so many lives and so many civilizations. After much of destruction, things would fall into place on a future period in time, if the human race do exist even then. Till we meet again with another thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.